So today we're going to talk about the quadratic formula. Now the reason why we talk about this one the last is because this one is probably the most well-liked of any of the three because one, it always works. Two, it will probably be the easiest one of the three to do. Okay, and so if you look, biggest thing you need to make sure that you're in standard form of a quadratic. It has to be ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. You plug it into this formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now what we're going to do is we actually call this the discriminant. Okay, this right here is called the discriminant. Now there are some things you can do with the discriminant. For sake of time, we're not going to cover a lot of those just because, yeah, we're hitting the end of the semester. Okay, so this is called the discriminant. Alrighty? So now, real quick, okay, so now we're going to go ahead and solve this. Very first thing you need to make sure is that you're in standard form. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And so now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to identify a, b, and c. So a is located right here, b is located right here, c is located right here. Notice that I put the numbers so that the negatives are included. They do count. So the first one says negative b. So you've got the negative of negative 3. That's negative b. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is negative 3 quantity squared, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times 1, or 2a. Biggest mistake that gets made on these problems is when people simplify. I'll show you a few of those mistakes. Hopefully you won't make them. Very first, you've got 2 negatives, which make a positive. So I've got 3 plus or minus. Here's where one of the biggest mistakes gets made. If you don't have that negative 3 in parentheses, a lot of people will put negative 9. This first number here will always be positive because you're going to square it. So the square root of negative 3 squared is going to be 9 minus. What is 4 times 1 times negative 28? 4 times 1 times negative 28, negative 1, 12. Okay, all divided by 2. So now I see again I've got 2 negatives. 2 negatives we know make a positive. So really, I get 3 plus or minus what? 21, good, all over 2. Now what we need to do is see if we can simplify root 121 down. Can you simplify root 121? Yep, so really that's 3 plus or minus 11, all divided by 2. So I've got 2 solutions here. The two solutions, the first one is 3 plus 11 over 2. What's the next one going to be? 3 minus 11 over 2. 3 plus 11 over 2 and 3 minus 11 over 2. So let's do the 3 plus 11. What's the 3 plus 11? 14. Divided by 2? Okay. 3 minus 11. Negative 8 divided by 2 is? 4. Negative 4. And so those are your 2 solutions. So that one was fairly easy because that worked out nice and neat, but we're going to look at some ones that don't work out as nice and neat. Okay, we've got 2 more we're going to look at today. So 3x squared minus 2x minus 5 equals 0. 3x squared minus 2x minus 5 equals 0. Are we in standard form? Standard form? Yep. What's A?
3.
What's B? Negative 2. What's C? So A, B, C. So negative b means the negative of negative 2, plus or minus square root. Now some of you might be doing some of these without having to write everything out. You might say, oh, I know the negative of negative 2 is positive 2. I know that negative 2 squared is 4. C is negative 5 here. all divided by 2 times 3. So the negative of negative 2 is a positive 2. Plus or minus, square root. What do you got inside the square root? 4 minus negative 60. All divided by 6. I want you to finish that one for me.
Wait, where?
Okay, you finish that one for me. And we'll go over your solutions.
They're in these problems.
Okay, so real quick, when you did this, you should have gotten 2 plus or minus. We're at 64, all divided by 6. So now we need to break down the root if we can. I know that root 64 is actually 8. So then I'm left with 2 plus 8 divided by 6 and 2 minus 8 divided by 6. So first of all, the 2 plus 8 is 10 divided by 6, but I know that that is actually 5/3. I know that 2 minus 8 is negative 6 divided by 6, which is negative 1. So if you remember what I said, the biggest mistake that gets made in these problems is in the simplification. So let's go ahead. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and look at the next problem. Okay, 3x squared plus 7x equals negative 3. What do you notice about this problem versus every other one? Yeah, you need to get rid of that 3 and you need to move it over because it's not in standard form. So what ends up happening is I get 3x squared plus 7x plus 3 equals 0. I want you to go ahead and work on this one, and we'll see how you're doing. So you guys having soup and pie? Tara loves soup suppers. She'll be so excited she gets to come to school and eat soup. Oh my gosh. So, 4AC. Yeah. Stop.
So your answer is negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 13 over 6.
How did you get 13?
49 is 36. There's no negative there, so it's just 49 minus 36.
But you times it by negative 4.
I know. No, not by. No, it's 49 minus 36. Not 49 minus negative 36. Okay, so now let's go ahead and here's A, here's B, and here's C. So first of all, negative B will be negative 7 plus or minus the square root of B squared, which will be 7 squared, minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. So I'm left with negative 7 plus or minus square root. What's 7 squared? 49 minus 4 times 3 times 3 is 36. All divided by 6. Next step, what is 49 minus 36? 13. Can you take the square root of 13? No, you can't break it down at all. And so actually, I am done with that problem. All right, so now this is the plan. Your assignment is the study guide worksheet, which I'm going to pass out to you now. It's got about 12 problems, I believe. Now, just a little tidbit. I know we went through factoring, completing the square, and the quadratic formula. I'm going to tell you that for the next few mornings at 7:45, if you want to come in and go over any of those three, I'm going to be here. Okay, so 7:45, if you're struggling with completing the square, come in tomorrow. We'll go over it. If I get enough people in here, we'll have you do work on the board. And I'll give you a problem and have you guys work it out on the board all together, and then we can kind of see where we need extra work. Okay, so that's the biggest thing I can tell you, that if you're struggling, get in here. We'll get things taken care of before the test.